Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry, and what did happen to the Dar video? That was my bad, Stoner. We can that's my fault. Usually ask the man. This is the day after reckoning here, and we're usually a little bit more organized. But I kind of got excited, and I'll show everyone why I got excited here in just a moment. I'm Nathan. That's the Stoner. This is the day after reckoning, where we break down the game from Washington's previous day, and we finally got in the W. The onesie is back, folks. We got ourselves a victory.
Here he goes. Get all tangled up in the cord.
Yeah, woo-hoo. Yeah, buddy. You know, we got to have some fun here. We are wearing the Redskins onesie here. I've determined, so I have a Washington football team. I have this one, and the reason why I am super excited, okay, is because I found the next one. That is right, folks. There is a Commander onesie. It will be mine, and it will be coming to the Perry household. And we're going to have three to switch through. So I'll have the Redskins, the classic Redskins look. I'll have the Washington football team look, and then I'll have the Commanders look. I am a little disappointed that the Commanders one is pretty much the same print as the Washington football team one. They just switched out the name. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. You get the onesie when we win the game. And I've determined something, Stoner.
Okay.
I'm gonna start something. I'm gonna continue this bit even further. I've had the onesie. It's been my onesie for a decade.
Yeah.
But I've only had the one up until last year when I got the Washington football team one.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I want to do, because I'm going to have the Commanders one come in, I'm going to see if we can't get streaks going. Okay. So I will wear this one.
Streaks, not streaking.
Not streaking.
Streaks.
Although we'll leave your imagination on whether or not there's any other clothing underneath this. But I'm going to wear the Redskin one. That's the one we picked yesterday on the live stream. I will wear this until Washington loses. Very well could be next week, but we'll get to that on Wednesday's show.
Well, what do you mean you're going to wear it until then? Like every day?
No, every show
okay,
I will wear this.
Okay.
And then every day after reckoning, right? Because it's a onesie. It's only meant to be worn, on the day that they win. Now. And the day after reckoning is when I wear this. And if they win next week, I'll be back in the Redskin one. If they lose, I'll switch to the next one. Which
once
I'll have
they win
three,
again.
once and then that one will be there until they win. That's what I'm gonna get.
Okay.
Was that a Manscaped ad? I mean, I am clean shaven.
Oh my God. What are we doing? What has this show devolved into? Where are we going with all
Well, it's not a Neanderthal when you have Manscaped. You can head out to manscaped.com. Keep yourself clean and out of trouble as well. Use the code REF. That's R as in ref, E as in F, and F as in F. Gets 20% off and free shipping. Make sure you use that code. We have just a few more. We have about 14 more days with that code, I think is how long that code will be there. So, Steven, I wish I could wear underneath my OCPs, but I think the Air Force would frown upon that. I've not allowed that kind of debauchery to happen. So, but it is something fun to do. I do wear it as much as I can on days that we win and the day after we win, because we'll have our day after reckoning. It is going to be a good, fun show, guys. Not just because I'm in my onesie, because Washington won. You can call it ugly. You can call it lucky. But you know what you got to call it? A W.
A dub.
A dub.
Right.
It is a victory. So there are a lot of fans out there that are very, very down on the team, and they have every right to be. Okay. I get it. The win was just not great. And by all means, the Bears should have won. They had plenty of opportunities, but you know what they didn't do, Stoner?
They didn't win.
They didn't win.
That's right. They didn't take advantage of those opportunities.
It's kind of like last week. Washington outgained the Titans. Washington controlled that game. And you know what Washington didn't do last week?
Didn't win.
They didn't win. Do you know what they did this week, though, Stoner?
They got a dub.
They got a dub. That is right. It is on the board. Can't come off. That is absolutely right. Doug, appreciate that. We got several people in the chat. Shout out, Steven. Thank you for your service as well. Stoner is a retired Air Force veteran as well. Appreciate all those who serve. I will be a retired Air Force veteran next year. Gus Bus in the chat. We got Redskin 007 already calling for some dollar. Erie in the chat as well. We had Yam in here. P4. Lucas. I'm here for the Awthentik and the beard. Absolutely love those guys. Good segue into mentioning the fact that we will have the beard, and I have a special thing for him. And I think everyone's going to kind of enjoy it. Looking forward to having the beard on. Those guys are great, great people there. I think I got everybody so far in there. P4 is buying his ticket to the Super Bowl now because we will be in it. Let's pump our brakes. Let's take one game at a time. But hey, we're starting there. We're starting on there. Gus Bus says, do we wear all whites from here on out? Talking about streaks. Well, they've already got the uniform schedule. I think next week is all black, isn't it? Isn't our first blackout game?
I don't remember what the schedule is for the uniforms.
I
can't remember. You can look that up.
I will look that up. But let's get to the game itself, Stoner.
All right.
We did our live stream yesterday. You posted the video of our ups and downs. Quite humorous to watch those over again. Yeah. Overall, obviously you're excited for the W, but overall, what were your thoughts on the game?
Okay, so overall, I mean, what you said at the beginning is very true, that it was an ugly victory. It was very lucky. It was not very pleasing to watch unless you're a Washington fan at the end. I don't care what people around the NFL thought of the game. If they thought it was a repeat of the week before, two terrible teams, I don't care what they think. All I care is about what my fellow Washington fans think. And although it wasn't a lot of fun overall, in the end, it was a victory. The offense has got a long way to go. The defense has come a long way from where they were at the beginning of the year. And they've just kind of flipped, which is crazy to see something like that. But in the end, I thought Washington showed a lot of heart. They showed perseverance. They showed fight. They showed that they care about each other and they care about winning every week, no matter what. And it came down to the end, and they beat a horrific football team in the Bears, but they won. And I swear to you, that's really all that matters. We're not saying that this is going to propel them to a playoffs, anything crazy like that, but we talk about it all the time. When I sit down and watch my team for 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it is, I want them to win the game regardless. If they're 1-15 and they're playing a 15-1 team and they have no shot at winning, I want them to win that game. That's just how I'm built in my fandom. And that's what happened. They're terrible. We're terrible. We won. That's all there is to it. I lost you. You lost your audio.
It's because I muted myself so you guys didn't hear me typing. But I agree with you. I think that there's you want to be happy. I know a lot of people aren't happy. It wasn't a great victory. They didn't blow the socks off. They looked just downright terrible at times. You've got Samuel dropping passes. Yeah. B-Rob is continually running into piles and not getting anywhere. The line just is still missing. And there's a lot of things that we're going to harp on here. A lot of people could be put into that no-go category that we'll have later when we do go-goes and no-goes. But in the end, you want your team to get the victory. I know that's people right. There's people already talking about draft position. We're week 5, right? Like, the team, we're week 6. The team's 2-4, which is better than 1-4. You shouldn't be talking draft position this early. I know the team's been bad. There's very well could go on a run. I know that's unlikely with how they're performing right now, but we'll take one game at a time. I know that's coach speak. I know that's what the players talk about. And as fans, maybe it's not as smart because, we can, predict all the way through the season. It doesn't do us any good. We don't have to game plan for our team. So, but it's one of those things that I think that it's just, take the small victories where you can. And this was a victory. Yep. Enjoy it and have some fun. We'll critique the game. We'll bash them where they deserve to be bashed, and we're going to praise them where they deserve to be praised. My man Tress Way, MVP. Okay.
He was very good.
He was very good. And he actually missed his phone call with Grant and Danny today because he was yelling so much during the game, like cheering him on. So, there's definitely some good things to take from this game. And let's start with some of that bad, though. I like to end on positive notes. What was something that you were really disappointed with Washington yesterday?
Oh, where do you even start? It obviously starts on offense, and I'm still trying to figure out where it's all going wrong because there's so many things, so much information out there about what is going wrong with the offense. Scott Turner is not adapting his playbook to the what his players do well. That's out there, right? That it's a plug and play offense. That's what Alex Smith said. And specifically last night before the broadcast or after, I don't remember when it was, Ryan Fitzpatrick said, Scott Turner and this offense is a plug and play. They do not adapt the offense to fit the skills of the players. So that's a problem. But is it also Carson Wentz? When you watch a lot of the tape from last night, he's got open receivers all over the place. And it's frustrating as hell that he's not seeing those receivers. Is that a product of coaching? Or is that a product of him worrying about his offensive line not being able to protect him? So he's going to look at his first guy and he's going to throw it no matter what? What is it? Is it a product of Carson Wentz being coached that way? And being told that we need you to go to this guy on this play every time? We don't know, but it's not working. And that's extremely frustrating. Is it that Ron Rivera never wanted Carson Wentz, that it was a 100% Dan Snyder move? It's so many different things about this. Is it just his offensive line is not protecting him all the time? It's a consistently bad product on the field. And again, something I say every week is that you can't tell me that this offense does not have talent individually. They have proven talent up and down those skill position players. Terry's proven. Curtis Samuel's proven. Logan Thomas is proven. He hasn't played the last two games. Gibson is proven. McKissick is proven. Wentz is even proven. Okay? All these guys are proven talents. And for some reason, it's not clicking. And that's driving me crazy. And you can't pinpoint it. You can't say it's Scott Turner. You can't say it's Ron Rivera. You can't say it's Wentz. You can't say it's the offensive line. You can't say it's Curtis Samuel dropping a perfectly thrown pass for a touchdown, right? It's all of these things, and it's not working, and it's going to be the downfall of this team because the defense is doing everything that they need to win games. There's my rant on what went wrong with this team.
There's definitely a lot of frustration with the offense, and this is something that we've had kind of a problem with. Even we're calling it streaky after two games, right? Because they scored 14 in Jacksonville, then they went 2 quarters without scoring, then scored 14 more. Mm-hmm. They didn't score anything in the first half against Detroit, and then they put up 27. So it looked like this offense can put up points, and so it was just like, but they're streaky. And then we just hit this lull where the offensive line is imploded and the offense can't get anything going. And now I don't think they're streaky anymore. I just think they're bad. They're
the last
just not
4 games,
good.
The last 4 games, they've totaled 47 points. Not even 12 points per game. 4 games. Like you said, that's no longer like a little streaky thing. That's a pattern. At 47 points in 4 games. That's not good for your offense.
No. And that's an offense, like you said, that has proven skill people. Mm-hmm. And one of those skill people is Antonio Gibson, who most people were ready to write off after Brian Robinson looked so good in the preseason. And then he's now back. And I'm one of those people who want Brian Robinson to run the ball. But I didn't think that was going to come at the expense of Gibson. And Gibson had, I think, 3 touches in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an explosive playmaker. And you got to see that a little bit in the second half.
That's right.
And I said that Gibson was still going to be the most productive running back in this backfield at the end of the season. I believe 100% in Gibson's ability. And you can't just run Brian Robinson for 2.5 yards, 3.5 yards a carry. You got to be able to split it up. And McKissick got some action in there in the first half. Obviously not as much as Brian Robinson. I do like that they stuck with the run. They were trying to keep up with that. And that was good because it wasn't working until the end. It wasn't really working. And they did end up with more than 100 yards, which is more than they did have passing. But the passing, do you think that Carson Wentz's shoulder is to blame for some of that offense? Like you mentioned, you can't really pinpoint, whether or not it's Wentz, Scott Turner, Ron Rivera, Dan Snyder, the Chicago wind, the
O-line,
but how much do you think that the shoulder plays into it? That was something that kind of came out with this Tennessee game.
No idea. I mean, Carson went to see a doctor about it today. So it's not something that's just like, oh, my shoulder is a little bit sore. There's something going on there. It's all of these things. And Ron Rivera even said after the game, or he said it today, I think, in his press conference, he said they regret not having Gibson more involved in the offense in the first half. Because in the second half, like you said, that's when the offense started clicking a little bit better than the first half for sure. But they had the combo. They had Robinson running. They had Gibson running. They had McKissick running. They had thrown to these guys as well. And it started clicking a little bit better in the second half. And for the first time, I believe all year, Ron Rivera said that's on us coaches for not getting Gibson involved in the first half.
He did.
So the shoulder thing, I don't know if it was a part of it. I'm sure there's a little bit something to it. But after he injured his hand, already with the shoulder / bicep, whatever's going on there, and the hand, he threw a dime to Curtis Samuel that Curtis Samuel just misjudged, didn't track it, whatever. It was a perfect pass, and he should have caught it. And that was about a 30-yard dart right down the seam. It was perfect.
It looked like a beauty. So Curtis Samuel left his feet, got into his hands, and just didn't bring it down. Unfortunate. They did continue trying to drive after that. There was some of the play calling that was frustrating in this regard, though. Like one of the big things that we disliked, that was a good play call. Execution missed. Carson Wentz thing, by the way, I hope it's not a shoulder, because if he can keep throwing blocks like he did, love to see that. And that's going to get his teammates to rally around him. But the play calling was something that I think was also frustrating. The play calling in week 1 was exciting. You had Curtis Samuel out there doing, these runs, and you had this diamond formation, and things there was a lot of motion. We're finally bringing back the motion. You're starting to see that again. For a couple of games, they were statues out there.
Yeah.
And Carson Wentz is starting to kind of do some talking and calling out the defense. So those are positive signs. But then you have something like the 3rd and 5, bomb to De'Ami Brown.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't take shots. And if that's open, you obviously want to take it, but he was covered there. So one, I don't like the play call, and then I don't like the execution. Yeah. And it was just like, there's too many of that where it just didn't make sense. We got saved with a defensive pass interference on Terry McLaurin when he made that attempt to throw it deep to Terry, but he had a wide open player right in front of him that could have gotten a first down.
Yeah, a lot of that.
And so it's frustrating because it's like, what are those play calls, and then what is on Wentz? And I think this is where our fans are kind of conflicted, and some people got like, there's a lot of fans out there on social media that are just mad about this victory, not just for draft position, but because it just did not look good. It was a very ugly win. And so I can definitely understand them, but I do think that there's some really good nuggets to take from this. And you mentioned a couple of those already, Stoner. How about that defensive line? Yeah.
Well, before that, there was a couple of things back with the offense again that kind of perplexed me. One was Dyami Brown was your star last week, basically, with those 2 huge catches. And I believe he had 4 targets. He played 3 plays this entire game. I'm just that's another one of those things where you're trying to figure out what's going on with the mindset of the coaches. Did he have a bad week of practice? Do they look at it and do they say the matchups are bad with Chicago's defense and Dyami Brown, which I don't know how you would do that, how you would say that, but they see more tape than we do, obviously. And then also, or also could it be that whole plug and play concept that they've devised a game plan that didn't involve Dyami Brown without taking into consideration what he did the previous week? 3 plays, Nathan, in the entire day. He played 3 plays. And last week he had 2 catches for 100 and something yards and 2 touchdowns. Basically was the star on offense. That perplexed me. That's another thing with the whole what's going on, who's in charge, what are they doing? Cam
Sims saw 19 snaps?
Yeah, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. Feed the hot hand.
Yeah, the disparity is what I was saying. It's like Cam Sims, nothing last week. This week he gets the bulk of those really your 4th or 5th option on offense.
Dyami just had the game of his entire life in the NFL, and he's probably confidence is riding high, and you're going to have him out there for 3 plays. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure there's a good explanation that they would have, but it didn't make sense to me. And then I thought they did have a lot more movement this game pre-snap. You saw Terry moving around a little bit more. They got him involved when he was in motion. They got him involved with jet sweeps, with screen passes or swing passes. And then that one play they had down near the goal line where they had Armani Rogers in the backfield, they had Gibson in the backfield, and they had Samuel in the backfield with Carson Wentz, obviously. And then they did a fake screen to the right and then a throwback to the left, which was Gibson, who had 3 linemen out there, and none of the 3 linemen thought it would be a good idea to block the guy coming to make the tackle. Otherwise, he had an absolute walk-in touchdown. They had it perfectly designed, perfectly executed by the skill players, and then nobody blocked one guy. And there was 3 of them there who could have. And that's the whole thing. One guy doesn't make a play, and it blows up the entire execution of the play. And then we get mad at Carson, or we get mad at Scott, or we get mad at Ron, or whatever. But, we don't like to call out our friend of the show, Charles Leno, but he just whiffed on a block that would have been an easy touchdown. So those are just that's what bad teams do. They miss those things. So I know you asked about defense, but I wanted to have a couple. No,
that's fair. A bit on that note there. That's what bad teams do, right? Yeah. Chicago, we said, was a bad team. We're a bad team. They're a bad team. They missed those opportunities, and we came out on top. And I know there's still some people out there saying like we're only a couple throws away from 0-6. Well, we're also 1 throw away from being 3-3.
That's right.
So the ball bounces. It's what's going to happen. And like I said, there are some good things. And one of those was the defensive line. Montez Sweat coming alive. Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen continuing to be absolute monsters in the middle.
Yeah.
And you actually have somebody coming alive on the opposite end. Two Hills doing just fine, but now F.A. Obata is starting to come. Not a consistent game for him, but there's a couple times, Stoner, you said it, he looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah,
just absolutely brutal to Fields, crushing him. Literally, guy was holding his chest. he was getting beat
Yeah.
so bad. What are some of the other positives that you saw in defense? Because to me, that's really the part of the team, but besides special teams, as I said, Tressway was our MVP.
Yeah.
What from the defense did you feel was just clicking for them yesterday?
Okay, let's just get this first part out of the way. Justin Fields is not a good throwing quarterback. Okay. And for whatever reason, the Chicago coaches are trying to keep him in the pocket. Makes no sense to me. What makes Justin Fields special are his legs. What are they doing keeping him in the pocket all the time? We saw that towards the end on that last drive when he had that, 40-something yard run, to get them down to the 5-yard line. But putting that part aside, defensively, the defensive line is what we've been waiting for 3 years. Everybody's been talking about this defensive line with all these first rounders. Well, now they're playing like it, even though they're not all first rounders anymore, because you've got, like you said, Tuhill, Obata, all those guys. But the defensive line is killing teams right now. Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, and now Montez Sweat, the last 2 games, are absolutely obliterating the offensive lines in front of them. Could that be a product of bad offensive line play on the other side? Sure. But they're doing it. And that's all you can judge them by on what they're doing. So that's a huge part of it. And also you have to give the back end some credit, because Justin Fields was not hitting guys and he was running because nobody was open, or he couldn't find guys who were open. There was obviously times guys were open, but St. Juice is doing a nice job back there. Cam Curl has made all the difference in the world, right? They had 400 yards of offense, I believe. That's a lot, but a lot of that was on Fields' long run and Montgomery's long run. Or no, maybe it wasn't Montgomery.
It was pass. Yeah, it was
Herbert.
From Herbert, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's a Hokie, isn't he? Herbert. But anyway, so defensively, they played extremely well, even though the product on the other side is not very talented. But they did what they had to do. And let's give St. Juice credit on that last play. He was in position. I don't know why Fields is not moving around with his legs on a 4th down from the goal line, 2-yard line, whatever it was.
Just right there. They were right there.
What is Chicago doing? I mean, they helped us out a ton. But St. Juice was right there and caused enough problems for Mooney that he could not bring it in cleanly. And by the time he caught it, he was at the 1-yard line. Although I still don't even think he actually caught it. I thought his hand hit out.
It looked like it was out. They ended up giving it to him, but I agree with you. I thought that he was out there. Yeah. So Washington did get gashed by Herbert for 64 yards, a 39-yard run for Justin Fields, and then a 40-yard receiver.
Right there, right?
Yeah.
So how much did they rush for the entire game?
238.
Yeah. So they basically rushed for about 135 yards, which is pretty good, right? That's what you would be happy.
Yeah, it's right around where Washington ran, and Washington didn't run it particularly well. Yeah.
So defensively, I thought they played very well. Again, the offense for Chicago is putrid all the way around, especially the quarterback throwing the ball. So they took advantage of it and held them to 7 points on what I still think is a disputed touchdown. I haven't had a chance to dissect it yet, but we talked about it on the live stream when we were watching it. We're just screaming and saying he didn't catch that. He didn't catch that. He didn't catch it. What are they doing? They're kicking the extra point. No, stop the game. Something.
Yeah. And then they reviewed it and still said it was a catch. I want to go back and watch that one because
I haven't studied it.
To me, it still looked like it wasn't. So I'll pull it up and see what what we feel on that.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do that another time. Right now, what we want to do is we want to pull up the man himself. This is the Beard from Awthentik, and the Beard left side, right? That's silly.
How you fellas doing today? It's great to be back. I appreciate you guys having me on today. Victory Friday.
Yes, sir.
Victory Friday,
indeed. There we go.
Sometimes we try to get a guy on here who thinks a lot different than us so that we can get the other side. But I think you're in lockstep with, at least on this point, about how it doesn't matter. It's a victory. Let's be happy for 10 days or whatever until the Green Bay game, right?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, 2-4 is always going to feel better than 1-5.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like I've progressed as a fan, especially since I've started doing Authentic in the Beard, you know, over the past couple of years, just because it's so easy to get caught up in the negative, you know, and for me, it's like, I love football. Like, I'm a football fan. And so for me, like, Authentic says this all the time about the Giants, you know, before this year, obviously. He said, you know, bad Giants football is better than no Giants football, you know? And so for me, it's like, you know, like I grew up on Washington football. So it's like, you know, there's nothing's going to ever make me stop cheering for my team, stop watching my team, you know, and there's nothing that can happen for me to stop doing that. And, you know, like, I understand all the stuff about Dan Snyder too. And it's just like, you know, people always would say, stop going to the games and stuff like that. Right. But that's not fair to the players, you know, like that's who you're going out there and supporting, you know, and like to me, it's important. And then last night I saw a lot of people saying, oh, well, this win is not worth celebrating. And in my mind, I'm like, are you going to say that to somebody like Brian Robinson, who just scored his first professional touchdown after being shot, that he shouldn't celebrate this win?
For real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, it's like, I kind of try to look at things from different perspectives, and a win is a win. It's cliche as cliche gets, but in the National Football League, every win counts. Every game counts. So, like, you know, to get back on the board to 2-4 is super important, especially going into a tough game coming up next. So, you know, a win is good in my books, is Victory Friday. You get 10 days, too. It's not like it happened on, like, a Monday, you know, and, like, I get, like, 3 days before I have to start thinking about the next game, you know. So I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, and I guarantee that either Philly or Dallas is going to lose this week, so that's going to help as well.
Exactly. Right? And the Giants have a tough matchup with Baltimore, so you really have to kind of look at all the little things too. You know, it's easy to look at all the little things when people are trying to nitpick and pick out the negatives and oh, he should have done this, he should have done that. You know, it's very easy to do that, but for some reason people can't do that when we're talking about positive stuff. So
yeah, they're a little bit more pessimistic after that. I'm not. I'm rocking the onesie here. So
yeah, I see that.
I got the onesie on. I also know you're a fan of vintage stuff here, and I have something for you here. It's not quite as vintage as what you normally have, but I mean, for what it is, it's pretty old here.
Look at that.
I came across this in a random closet at the office, and I decided, you know, it's expired in 2017. So nobody's taking this, so I'm going to take it. Though I will say those chips look way too like good. I don't know if I'll ever eat Tostitos again, but I figured that you might appreciate this vintage 2017 Tostitos bag.
What do you think that goes for?
I mean, you never know. Listen, I tell you, on Thursday, or this last Thursday show, we gave away, I packed it up already, but we gave away a 1930s leather football helmet.
Wow.
To one of our viewers. Yeah. So it was pretty awesome. But yeah, I love the vintage stuff. You can see I got a whole bunch of different vintage stuff back here.
You even got a football team helmet.
Yeah,
right?
that's autographed by Terry McLaurin.
Oh, nice.
And then the football is autographed by Chase Young.
Nice.
I deal in a lot of sports memorabilia too, so I literally have all types of stuff. I got autographed Mike Tyson stuff over here, so yeah, I'm all over the place.
Nice.
I got a couple 80s Redskin cards sitting over on the shelf there. I'll have to show you those sometimes. I love the R, by the way, the hat, in the background there as well. That looks really sharp.
I'm going back to wearing that now. I switched from this one to that one for last night's game, and we won. So I'm back to wearing that on game days. But that's one of my favorite ones right there, the Rigos Rangers.
Oh yeah. I see you wearing that one a lot. Yep.
Yeah. So.
But what's the first thing you think of when you see that R? What's
I mean,
who's
first
the
thing you think of is Joe Gibbs, obviously.
100%, right? You
Yeah.
see that, you just think Joe Gibbs, just like
Then
that.
I think about the satin jacket after that, you know.
Yeah.
Do you have one of those? That would be a find.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
Nice.
I have a whole. I'll tell you what. I just from the guy who sent us the stuff for the giveaway on Thursday. He sent me a 1988 Redskins T-shirt.
Whoa.
I would show it to you guys, but it's a little crazy. But it's a Broncos Redskins T-shirt. It's awesome. It's a little small for me, but I still I collect all the stuff I can.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we got some fans from Awthentik in the Beard there, and Awthentik himself in the chat. Make sure you guys head out to Awthentik in the Beard, their YouTube page. The best television show not on television.
Yes,
it's
sir.
not just a slogan. It really is a great show. It's something that Stoner and I absolutely love. Trev too, and we try to catch up on it whenever we can. And real quick, before we get back to the game talk, why don't you tell them, when you guys broadcast? Because I know you guys got a couple different things going on. Awthentik lost his way, and he is a Giants fan, but we still appreciate him. You are the better side, the left side, and the Washington fan. But when can they catch you on Awthentik in the Beard?
So we are live on Tuesday and Thursdays. We do like our entire NFC East show. So Tuesdays we generally do recaps of the weekend. Thursdays we do previews of the upcoming games. Sunday mornings we do the parlay, which is a fantasy football and betting show. And then on Mondays, Awthentik does the Giant Overreaction, which is basically like his solo show where he does all New York Giants stuff. So we've built a crazy awesome community. It's a lot of times it's easy to kind of like look at different fan bases a certain way, but the Giants community has been super awesome. I mean, Lucas is a Giants fan from Australia. Like, he's in Australia, but like, when you see people and you look at these teams and these fan bases with like a love of football sort of attitude, like it's easy to kind of like blend in and everybody kind of wants to see people succeed until we get kind of obviously to like a certain point in the season when like, you're kind of looking at the games and like, okay, we need this person to lose and that person to win. So, but nah, it's awesome. And yeah, so we're doing all those live streams, and then we've been trying to do a little bit more pre-recorded content and some shorter form content as well to kind of, continue to build the community. But we're super excited with what we've built so far, and more so just because of the type of people that come and watch the streams and stuff like that. So it's definitely, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. I'm sure you both know that, from like the back end stuff to just, being able to have all the numbers, and when you're doing it by yourselves, it gets a little crazy, but it's totally worth it. I love every minute of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We enjoy watching. I mentioned the 3 shows a week. That's what we did this week, and you mentioned a lot of work. I think we're definitely tuckered out. Especially, I think the shortest of those shows was like an hour and 45 minutes, and your guys' shows run pretty long as well. But you got a lot to cover in that time. And one of those things that you talk about is kind of like the roadmap to victory. And I don't want to steal too much from your guys' show for that, but kind of walk us through what your roadmap is and what you had in store for Washington this week against the Bears.
I mean, my big thing is RTDB. I'm a run the damn ball type of guy, and if you look back at when Washington went on that run last year, they were averaging close to 40 carries a game during that 4-game stretch when they won those games. And if you look at the NFC East teams that are winning right now, Philadelphia, Dallas, the Giants, all of them are running the ball. Last weekend, when all 3 teams won and we lost, each one of them ran the ball at least 34 times. We ran the ball like 18 times last week. So for me, it's about the run game. And especially when your offensive line is struggling, which ours is, what better way to help them out than to run the ball? And so like running the ball is a big thing for me. And I'm like everybody else. I kind of am lost and confused as to what happened to Scott Turner's offense since that first game. Not even just that first game, that first possession, the first 2 possessions. the creativity, the pre-snap movements, the spreading out of the ball, everything looks like what we were expecting it to look like what we were excited for, right? And then it just kind of all disappeared. So Brian Robinson's coming back. I'm expecting to see two backs in the backfield, Gibson and Brian Robinson. I'm expecting to see Gibson in the slot. I want to. I'm looking for this, and I wasn't seeing it. So that was obviously a disappointment, and that was something that was important to me. Scoring early has been very important to me also. I think that's something that creates rhythm. I think that's something that this offense needs, this quarterback needs, is rhythm. And with the play calling that Scott Turner has been doing thus far, there hasn't really been a rhythm. You've seen so many 3-and-outs. You get maybe 3 or 4 of these really good drives. And then obviously forcing turnovers. We were the worst, I want to say, if not the worst, the second to worst team in the National Football League in turnover differential. So that was a big thing for me, was to win the turnover battle, which we did win. So it obviously protecting Carson Wentz. They weren't that bad in that aspect. I want to say they gave up only 3 sacks, I believe, on the night. So that was a positive. And it's just getting to Justin Fields, taking advantage of what Chicago doesn't do well. And obviously, running the ball. We were only averaging 89 yards a game before this game on the ground. And Chicago was giving up 170 on the ground. So it was like,
run the damn ball.
It just all made sense. So we actually, in the penalties was a big problem. And once again, it was last night. I want to say we had 7 penalties last night. So that's 27 penalties in the stretch of the last 3 games, which is just absolutely horrendous. Third down offense, once again, was really bad. We were 1 of 11 last week, and our first third down conversion didn't come until 24 seconds left in the game. So this week, we were pretty bad on third down again, 2 of 11. So you're talking about 3 for 22 in your last 2 games on third down.
Oof.
That's brutal,
Yeah,
So
not sustainable.
Those were some of the things that I was looking at. I always try to look at the matchups. If to me, football is so much like it's a chess game, and I don't even know how to play chess, but I know that it's a mind thing, it's a battle thing, it's a you make a move, I make a move sort of situation, and that's what football is. So it's like that's what's so disheartening when you hear former players talk about Scott Turner's offense and how it's a plug and play thing. And it's like you really have to be able to, play to your players' strengths. That's what a coach's job is. A coach's job is to put his players in the best situation possible to succeed. And a player's job is to execute when asked to execute. And right now, there's this disconnect on both sides of that equation, which is why I think we're losing. Because like you guys mentioned, the talent is there. It's clear as day. And even with Carson Wentz, I thought probably had his worst game last night. Now, there's a lot of things that you might be able to attribute that performance to: the injury, the weather, the play calling, the offensive line, the receivers. Because there was a lot of drops last night. It wasn't just the one that everybody remembers, the Curtis Samuel for the touchdown. Curtis Samuel had another very big drop in that game as well. But Carson Wentz, and I think this is true with many quarterbacks, it has a lot to do with the mental aspect of it. And when you're getting beat up the way that you're getting beat up, and it's like in the back of your mind, you're hearing, I'm holding on to the ball for too long. So now he's getting rid of the ball really quick. I want to say it was 2.2 seconds last night. He's getting rid of the ball. And then I hear people complaining about that. He's not waiting for the play to develop. Well, last week you guys told him he was holding on to the ball for too long. Like, you got to make up your mind. But Carson Wentz he's put together a very good season in my eyes so far. I mean, I know it hasn't equated to wins, but it's better than what we've had. It's just, I hate to blame coaches, and I hate to blame one person or one side of the ball, because winning football games is a team thing. It's a puzzle. Every piece has to be there in order for it to be complete. But the play calling is just absolutely horrendous. I mean, they literally ran Carson Wentz in like the red zone, like on that.
Was that a run?
That was a run. That was a designed run.
100%.
Now, one of those things you kind of talked about last week, that was he's not throwing the ball away quick enough. This week he's throwing away quicker. One of the things you kind of heard, after they had those 3 attempts at the 2-yard line to win the game, was you have a 6'5" quarterback, that close to the goal line, you got to run him. You heard that all week long. And now all of a sudden we're back in a situation where it's goal to go. And now we're running our 6'5" QB.
Well, they ran him outside. We're not saying
I'm not saying
Run his
they
ass
don't
straight.
listen very well, Stoner. I'm not saying that they took everything to heart. I'm just saying it might not be coincidence that they were hounded on run your 6'5" quarterback when you're that close to the goal line. Sure. And now all of a sudden we see a designed QB run. Wasn't the best run, but that's on Scott Turner, and Carson Wentz just doesn't have the legs he did when he was younger. But I do think maybe it's something like that. I asked you, Beard, whether or not you thought there might be something to it, but I'm going to let you know. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that they heard some noise and they were like, okay, let's see what we can implement here for Carson Wentz.
I'm sure it has something to do with it, but if that was the time that you decided to answer those questions, it was not a good time to do it. I mean, it's just – there was a lot of just really bad coaching in that game. And I really try my best to not blame it because I'm a Ron Rivera believer. I believe in him as a leader. I think he's a good coach. I just think that he's burnt out. I think the whole other side of his job has affected his coaching. Mm-hmm. And I think obviously he's too loyal to people, especially Scott Turner. I mean, Jack Del Rio, it's crazy because you could put up a poll each week and somebody's going to want somebody else different fired, but Jack Del Rio has found a way for his defense to make some plays. I've been defending Montez Sweat all year, and finally these last 2 weeks, because he's getting the sacks, he's now getting in the box score where they can see it. He's top 5 or top 10 in the league in quarterback hits, quarterback pressures. He's getting there. So it's just there's a lot going on, and I think that we really have to take it one game at a time. It sucks, it's cliche, but it just has to be. And I think that if you don't see major improvements here moving forward, they're not going to fire Ron Rivera, right? They can't, because structure from an infrastructure of the organization, it would be detrimental. And it's like, it's as fans, it's so easy to be like, oh, tank, get the number 1 pick and get a new coach. And it's like, let me play Photoshop with all these cool coaches and quarterbacks, right? Like, we've been down that road before, literally 3 years ago, So it's just like there's not an easy answer or an easy quick fix, right? But I do think that eventually you have to, look in the mirror and be like, okay, this is not working. There's a level of ego or stubbornness amongst this organization from the coaches all the way up where they have to eventually come around. And I think that Scott Turner gets fired before Ron Rivera, but there's been some questions like you can't fire Scott Turner right now because there's nobody else to really run the offense. Sure. So it's almost like your hands are tied. But I mean, there's not an easy solution or, we're a quarterback away sort of situation here to fix the problems. Yeah. But I think that's why these wins are so important. It means so much because until you figure it out, the games don't get played. It's not like you can be like, hey, we're gonna need a couple of weeks, guys, to kind of figure this out before we go play again. You got to go out and play every week. So to get the dirty wins until you can kind of get things clicking is super important. But if they get to that point, that's a whole nother story.
So what do you make of this Ron Rivera situation with how in the last week he's twice now snapped at the media?
I mean, he's tired.
Yeah, I mean, is it? But do you see this as the beginning of the end for Rivera, or do you just see it as something that every team that's losing, every team goes through at certain points of the season? Or are we going to look back on this last week and say this is where it started? Yeah.
I mean, you're at a 50-50 there. That's a coin flip. Because historically, you see these blow-ups, and that's it. That's like, you can go back to all different types of head coaches, even the ones that were really good and classic ones. I talked about this a little bit the other day. Herm Edwards with the Jets, You know, you got Mike
You played him
Singletary
in the
with
game.
Mike Singletary with the 49ers.
Yep.
Dennis Green, you know, with the Cardinals, I believe at that time it was.
Crown their asses. Yeah.
And
They are
then,
who
you
we
know,
thought they were.
you got Jim Moore with the playoffs line. So, you know, like it's historically, it's very easy to see that and feel that, you know, but also sometimes, you know, this sort of like wild card sort of thing can be a spark. You know, I don't think that in the back of his mind, like that's his intention. Hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to curse and I'm going to jump off this steel stairs right here and I'm going to storm off and my guys are going to be behind me and we're going to go win a game. You know, like it's not Rudy. It's not a movie, you know, like, but at the same time, everybody always complains about Ron doesn't show any emotion. And now, you know, he gets the emotion and people are like, oh, well, he's cursing at the media and this and that. Like, listen, do you know what that man has had to deal with? Like I just don't think people really understand. And I think that the quarterback thing was really weird. And I think a lot of that was just, he's so used to that being the answer, you know? And then it was like, when the report came out, like, you know, Dan picked the quarterback. So then it's like, okay, so maybe that's why he said quarterback. But then he comes out in the press conference and he's like defending, saying, I picked the quarterback. Now are we just witnessing a power struggle between him and Dan? Or, you know, like, so I could easily see him be like, I'm just done. I can't do this anymore. Like, it's too much. Or maybe it's just, this is the start of a new beginning. It's one of the two. There's no in between it. It's either the beginning to the end or the start of a new beginning. That's it. There's no in between. There has to be one way or another.
I think the players really rally around that because they see the coach getting passionate. They see them defending. It kind of felt a little bit like Mike Gundy out from Oklahoma State. I'm a man. I'm 40. Come after me. Rather than going after Carson Wentz right now. It's interesting with that presser. So if you go back and listen to it, he's like, every week people are trying to get somebody and he stopped himself. I think he was going to say fired. And then he was then he switched it up a little bit to not talk about that, about firing somebody, but they are under a lot of scrutiny. You're going to be when you start 1-4. They did get the victory last night against the Bears, albeit it was ugly. Some might call it lucky, but it's still a W. What were some of those positive things for you, Beard, in this game? Like, what was something that you're like, okay, this team can beat Green Bay next week because they showed this against the Bears?
Montez Sweat. I mean, the Montez Sweat has always been like a guy that I've talked about. You know, because I just think that he is the real deal. And like, you know, I never use the word bust or suck or anything like that when I talk about players. And I have to tell people that all the time, and especially on social media. I'm like, you look at Montez Sweat's numbers. I mean, the numbers are there. The guy plays. He's really good, and he's doing this without Chase Young. So for me to see the defensive line making an improvement, because the one thing that why Washington just can't win games also, besides the coaching and all the mistakes, is they can never get everything clicking at once. So, like, if your offense is only going to score 12 points, that defense better damn well hold the other team to 7 points. So it kind of like, for me, it's like, okay, I have that. If you lose 45-7, your defense didn't do good, your offense didn't do good. You know, like, so for me, like, I try to take that as a positive. I think, you know, Forrest made – that's something that a lot of people weren't talking about. That play that he made, the hit on Justin Fields at the goal line, that was a game changer. You know, like, and he seems to be a guy that has a knack for making big plays when needed. And you know, I think that was something that I kind of took away. Like, once again, he kind of stepped up and made a play when a play needed to be made. I think, you know, Cole Holcomb gets the short end of the stick all the time, but the guy does nothing but make tackles. You know, like, I mean, I understand that he shouldn't have to make tackles, but I mean, if you look at it statistically, the leading tackler in the NFL is always a linebacker. Cole Holcomb is top 10 in tackles over the last couple of years, and this year, you know, he's off to another fantastic start when it comes to tackling. So, like, for me, it's like I see improvements. The wide receiver position, you know, De'Ami Brown, I think he was banged up. I think that's why he didn't play, because he did pop up on the injury report on Wednesday or Thursday.
With a knee? Was that right?
Either a knee or a hamstring, one of those two. Those are the leg injury. So I think maybe that was something there. Cole Turner, tight end, that kid, where was he when we were in the red zone 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
I mean, that dude has got a body for the red zone if I've ever seen one. So kind of like to see him step up too, like maybe work him more in the offense. Like you got to do something with some creativity. Seeing Antonio Gibson do what he did in that drive when they got the field goal, that's the offense that needs to be ran, okay? Like when you have Gibson out there, I don't know, like him catching the ball and then running him and Robinson, like alternating plays, like the fresh legs, like to me, like that's what I see as the offense moving forward. You know, the fact that we were able to actually run the ball almost 30 times, 28 times, I feel like they kind of got an idea, you know, okay, we got to run the ball more. So there's definitely some positives here, but they're very few and far between at this moment. And I think if the third down conversions weren't so bad and the penalties weren't so bad, it'd be a little bit easier. But like those are the things that to see back-to-back weeks are kind of like very concerning to me because it feels like that's something that wasn't addressed, albeit it was a short work week. So now you have 10 days. To me, this is the biggest thing. If you have 10 days and there is not any sort of changing, it's growing. Thank you. It's going to be that's where there's going to be trouble because you got 10 days now. There better be a lot of changes made.
Plan.
Yeah, better be a game plan. And we saw the New York Giants beat Green Bay. You know, like Green Bay is not necessarily the Green Bay of old. They're still a really good football team. And they can run the ball. They still have Aaron Rodgers. They have some really good players on the defensive side of the ball. You know, so it's just I want to see people get healthy. I want to see a game plan. So to me, there are some positives. A lot of that, though, I think was, you know, defensively, obviously, because offensively we didn't really do much except for the fact we actually ran the ball almost 30 times. I would like to see it more, like 35 to 40 rushes. Sure. That's my game plan every single week. I think if you want to be successful.
Are you secretly Roger Smith, one of our longtime listeners? He is definitely on team run the damn ball, and he just wants to see that every play. Just get that 3.5 yards every play. You're going to get a first down.
That's right.
That's how it works. That's how the math checks out. Yeah. So,
hey, Beard, I wanted to ask you about. Well, first of all, I think one of the things to look at positive is the way. This is kind of weird phrasing, but the way Justin Fields felt at the end of that game, right? He was beat up. Our defensive line beat him up. Not our linebackers, not our safeties coming in on blitzes or whatever. Obata's hitting him, Allen's hitting him, all that good stuff. I think that's a huge positive. And I just wonder, again, is that a product? This is weird. Is that a product of Sam Mills getting fired? You know what I mean? Is it simply saying that for 2 years, this line did not produce, and now all of a sudden, it's the same guys mostly. Now all of a sudden they're producing, and the only difference you can see, really, is that Sam Mills is gone. Is it really that simple?
No, I don't think so. For me, if it was that simple, you would have seen an immediate change earlier. You wouldn't have seen it 6 weeks into the season. You know? That's where I kind of think about that. It's just, to me, obviously it needed to be done. There was, you know, a lot of, you know, back and forth between the players and coach, you know, at that time. So I think that it was probably a good move. It was a weird move, never been seen before. But no, I don't think it's as simple as that. I just think it's as simple as guys realizing, you know, what they need to do. Yeah, that's all there is to it. They're executing better. If you look at, for me, defensive line is a lot to do with discipline. You know, it's about, you know, filling your gaps. It's about containment on the outside if that's your responsibility. You know, and then so for me, I just think that they're just playing better. They're the best guys are showing up. Jonathan Allen, you know, Payne, like it's they're putting it all out on the line, and I think you see that. That's why Allen is in that, you know, that feeling and that mode when you put a microphone in front of his face, because he's putting it all out there, like they're playing hurt, they're doing everything that they possibly can, and they weren't seeing results, and I think that now they're seeing results, and I think a lot of that also has to do with the way that the secondary is playing. A lot of people don't realize that the secondary and the defensive line are one in another. Mm-hmm. Okay, if the secondary is not covering well, then there's never going to be enough time for the rush to get to the quarterback. Okay, if the rush is not getting to the quarterback, then eventually the wide receivers are going to get open, because that's how football works. Like eventually somebody will find a hole in the zone, or they'll find a way to beat the man, or there'll be confusion. They're running, freestyle routes at that point because the rush is not getting there. So they really rely on each other. So I think the play of the secondary has definitely helped out the defensive front as well. But no, I think there was obviously a little bit of effect. And I think maybe it's just taking a little bit of time to show because of the new defensive line coach kind of implementing his own way. But if it was that big of a deal, you would have seen an initial difference in like the beginning of the season.
Yeah, one of the things they had talked about, and they brought in an NFL legend to do this, and they brought in Ryan Kerrigan too as well, is the unit is now really working as a team. That was something that they kind of talked about, was Warren Sapp talked about. Like, you had 4 first rounders, but there are individuals out there and they're doing their own thing. Now you're seeing the line kind of really work together, and they're being disruptive. There was one particular play where I kind of, when watching it live, I miscalled it on our live play-by-play because I didn't see that they did a stunt. So I thought it was the pressure coming up from the middle was Jonathan Allen like normal, but because they did a stunt, it was actually Montez Sweat who let Jonathan Allen take out 2 linemen, walked around behind him, and came right after Justin Fields. And then Jonathan Allen tried to clean up after the fact, because he's just that big of a man who can push through 2 guys. But it is nice to see them kind of working there. And I like that you point out that they're working in tandem. What do you make of William Jackson now being out for essentially 6 quarters, and that back end of the defense has been playing better against the pass with him, who's the second highest paid player on the team, highest defensive paid player? What do you make with William Jackson's absence, and now him also calling to leave Washington?
I mean, we knew this was going to happen eventually. Okay. Mm-hmm. We tried to put a square in a circle, peg hole, whatever the saying is.
Whatever the cliche is, right?
Yeah. That's basically what we try to do. He's a man corner. You're having him play zone, which is a more difficult transition, believe it or not, to go from man to playing zone than it is from zone to playing man. The secondary, Kendall Fuller is he deserves just as much blame as William Jackson. It's like I said, when we're watching things in hindsight, and it's so much easier to be like, oh my God, this guy did that. And like, the speed of the National Football League is completely different than what we're seeing when we're watching film or, watching highlights. Okay. Because it just is. It's completely different. Like, it's easy to screenshot and be like, oh my God, this guy's open, that guy's open, but that's not how it is in reality. Okay. But William Jackson, they tried, it didn't work. And like, that's a on the coaching staff, that's on Ron, that's on the front office. It just didn't work. And that's the fact. There's no, like, it's going to happen. You're going to sign a guy, you're going to draft a guy. It might not work with you. It might work with another team. That's just it. There's nothing else to it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and bash William Jackson, because listen, the guy wants to play football. He wants to make plays. You think he doesn't want to make plays? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, there's a disconnect once again with the players and the coaching staff. And so for me, it is what it is. I would like to see that sort of mentality taken with more players. Not Carson Wentz. Don't get your hopes up, Heineke Hive. But, there are some other guys out there that, obviously would like to see benched or at least like pulled and work some other guys in. But it just, he's just not a right fit for the system, and they didn't find a way to use him properly. I don't think he's necessarily a bad player. It didn't work. And if he wants to get traded, then at least it goes quick, right? He got benched. I want out. Let's move him. It's before the trade deadline. So,
just be done with it.
What do we probably get? I don't know. Maybe a 6th-round pick, probably, if we're lucky. I would think. You might maybe a 5th or a 4th, but I doubt it. Probably a 6th-round pick, I would imagine.
I think
that salary.
7th is probably more than likely as he's benched. There's maybe a back injury that they have to
and his salary. Don't forget
the salary.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking a 7th and maybe a pick swap is probably the best you're going to be able to do. But we'll see. We'll talk about that once we get closer to that actually being a reality, because I don't think it is going to come anytime soon. The team does have 10 days off before the next game. Big opponent coming up, Green Bay. Any early thoughts on that? Normally, in Day After Reckoning, we focus strictly on the game before. But since we have you, any early thoughts on that Green Bay game before we let you go?
I mean, listen. I would be lying to you if I sat here and thought that Washington was going to win that game. You know what I'm saying? But does that mean that I'm not going to go out there and listen? That's the best part about doing the roadmaps that you talked about earlier. Is that my mind, there is a way for a team to beat another team.
Any given Sunday.
Exactly. They don't just say it because it sounds cool. I mean, the Colts beat the Chiefs. Okay, so right. That's all I could use. I'm glad that happened so early because I could use that example the rest of the season.
Well, I don't know if Awthentik's still in here, but the Giants beat the Packers. All right. I'm not a Giants believer yet. So
I mean, listen, I will tell you what, the Giants are playing the way that we should be playing.
Yeah.
Okay. Like they have found a guy in their head coach. And I think that is just, it's the complete difference for that organization and for that team.
Spells disaster for Washington.
And sure. Saquon Barkley being back that's huge. Not just good for the Giants. That's good if you're a fan of football, because when he came out the draft, you probably will never see another running back drafted as high as Saquon Barkley has. And to see him come back from the injury, it's good for football, So, but I think that should be a blueprint. I got to watch that game. I got to study that matchup with Awthentik. And that's another thing that's really good, too, about doing our podcast is a lot of times, there's so many common opponents between all the teams in the NFC East that it allows you to kind of see these teams a little bit more in advance than you would just the week before you play them. So is there going to be a way to beat the Green Bay Packers? Absolutely. And I'll put it together. Will they listen to me and put that plan in place? We'll have to wait and see. But I mean, early thoughts are, I don't even know what the early line is. I don't know if it's come out yet. Is it
probably not till after Green Bay plays?
Okay, yeah. So I'd imagine they'll probably be somewhere between 10 and 14-point underdogs for that game. But I think that there'll be a way, and it'll be interesting to see if there's any major shakeups personnel-wise on the field as far as the players go between now and when we get closer to game day. But I think that, it's going to have to be a ground and pound sort of situation. The defense is going to have to play the same way that it's been playing over the last couple of weeks, and your offense is going to have to find a way to convert third downs. And you're going to have to stop shooting yourself in the foot. The penalties are just unacceptable. Like I said, you're 2 for 20. What is it? Or 3 for 22 in your last third downs, and then you're at 27 sacks over the last 3 games. So those are things I feel like can be fixed. That's not like that can be fixed. So there will be a way. Will they find that way? That's to be determined, and we'll see how they practice this week and how Carson feels and how they decide what type of game plan they decide to bring. Will we see more of the Gibson-Robinson tandem? Will Carson be healthy enough will the offensive line, show up? Because I think we're going to be getting we'll probably have a new configuration of offensive linemen once again by that point, which would be our 7th in 7 games, our 7th different offensive line in the first 7 weeks of the season. So we'll see.
Well, I don't have a final question, but I do have a final comment that, behind the scenes stuff that goes on our show and with your show. And I just want to tell everybody who is watching, hopefully Awthentik's still in here as well, but how much we appreciate you, Beard, and Awthentik for not only kind of being an inspiration for our show, but also just for assisting us behind the scenes and giving us guidance on some things that people have no idea, what goes on, as you talked about early on behind the scenes, and how much we appreciate that and how much we appreciate all that you guys do with your show. So I just wanted to thank you for all that you guys have done.
Yeah, it's for me, like I said, like for us, it's about community. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter like who your team is, what content you're making. Like when you do this, like you really understand what other people are going through to do it, and like you guys I've always enjoyed you guys, and I like you said when you started the show, it's like I don't know, we usually like to bring somebody on who's a little bit different, thinking than us, but like I enjoy what you guys do, and you guys are fantastic, and you guys deserve everything that has come your guys' way. Like I've been watching you guys, from when I first met you to where you guys are right now. It's absolutely awesome, and you guys deserve every bit of it. You guys have come an absolutely long way. You guys put together a great show. You guys have great people. I pop into your live chats when I can, and I see, the numbers are growing, and you guys totally deserve it, man. I'm super happy for you guys, and I'm grateful that this worked out where I was able to come back on, because I always have a good time with you guys. And I forgot to mention, I'm totally stoked that you guys are going to be going to the Giants game, right?
Oh yeah, we're definitely meeting up for the Giants game.
So that's going to be an awesome tailgate. Like Awthentik and I have been going to that game. I want to say it's been close to 14 straight years now.
Wow.
To Giants and Washington games.
Yeah.
So it's always been an event for us, and that's super awesome that you guys are going to be there. But before I go, because I know you guys got to move on with the show, I do want to ask if I want to give something away to your viewers today.
Oh, look at here. What do we got? What's happening?
Right. So I'll ask a question, all right? And then whoever answers the question first in the chat is going to win this item. I'll let Stoner and I'll let you guys decide who you see in your chat first, okay? But I'm going to give away this Santana Moss card. This is an authentic game-worn jersey from the Pro Bowl inside that card. So this is a Santana Moss game-worn Pro Bowl jersey card, okay? So I'm going to give this away to one of your viewers. Whoever wins, you just find me on Twitter, and I'll mail it out to you. Send me your if you can contact them, just send me your address, and I'll mail it out. But this is on
I'll
behalf
give you my
of
house in
Awthentik.
Annapolis. We'll make sure they get it.
This is on behalf of Awthentik and the Beard. Just trying to give back to the community. We've been giving away something every Thursday live stream now since we started this season, which has been super awesome. And like the stories of people when they get stuff back being super excited. So like I thought it would be awesome for me to be able to give something back to you guys community and to your show on behalf of Awthentik and myself. So I'm gonna give this card away. So everybody get your fingers ready, all right?
All right. Get your keyboard fingers ready. Let's go. Here we go.
How many total sacks does Montez Sweat have in his career?
Oh wow. All right. Who can Google it the fastest?
Yeah, pretty much where it's going. I'm actually in the box score right now, so I'm going to pull it up because I want to see, because I'm trying to remember here.
I might have like a guess, but all right. So
the
guesses
you want to take a guess?
In.
Yeah, I want to say it.
Oops. We've got 8 from Commandalorian. Metaphor. Oh man, they're coming in fast. I can't keep up. Metaphors says 18. Our buddy Yam says 24. Gus Bus also says 24.
So whichever one of them was first.
It's
24 is the answer.
24 sacks in his career.
Mm-hmm.
That's Yam. He actually lives in Japan too.
There you go.
But he might have like a PSC box, like a US.
No, I mean I
box.
ship stuff for a living every day, so like it's not a big deal. But congratulations, man! I'm glad. Listen,
nice
this is
job,
going to
Yam.
Japan. That's awesome, dude. So congratulations. Thank you once again. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you will enjoy that. All you gotta do is find me on Twitter. If not, reach out to one of these guys, and they'll get your information to me, and I'll send that out your way.
That's awesome. And Yam is a loyal
Yeah,
viewer, and he loves the Commanders, and so I know he's going to love that.
There you go.
Awesome.
Love
Thanks.
Thank you very
Beard.
much, Beard, for joining us. You can catch him next Awthentik and the Beard. They have their Sunday parlay show that gives you that fantasy football advice, that gives you that betting advice, and you can catch them on Tuesday when they break down those games that happened over the weekend. Looking forward to it. And then, hey, if you missed out this time on the card, Yam, congratulations. If you missed out, like you said, their Thursday shows, they do a giveaway, so make sure you get out there. You can see all the amazing things he has. Now, I mean, he doesn't have
he doesn't have
Redskins Tostitos that have expired in 2017. But you got this. This is going to go on my shelf back there.
I got some 1980s 7-Up Notre Dame bottles unopened over there.
Oh,
there
nice.
You go. There you go.
I don't have
nice.
anything
Love
vintage.
to see it. We'll definitely be turning in Sunday, especially because we won't have a show because we had our live show on Thursday. Normally we're not competing, but normally we're on at the same time. And so we'll definitely be there for that one. Appreciate you, Beard, for coming on and have a wonderful day. You guys are awesome and appreciate you doing that giveaway here on our channel.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon, buddy.
All right, buddy. See you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
The absolute best television show, not on television. Yeah.
How cool was that?
Great.
Though?
That was great. Unexpected. Love to see it.
Had no idea.
No, I'm not giving away my Tostitos. There's no second place there. Let's keep moving on. Let's get this moving along here on the show.
I got to get my pad of paper. I forgot it's over here.
Oh, you forgot it. It's all right because it's time for the go-goes and no-goes. Get your go-goes in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and get to your no-goes. Let's hear about them. Who do you got for a go-go here, Stoner?
Go-go. Jeez. I mean... Go-goes, there's a lot to like about, a few guys on defense. I mean, Payne and Allen and Sweat and Christian Holmes with that big play, Tress Way, Robinson with his first touchdown, Cole Turner with his catches. You know what? Since I want to bring Yam back down a little bit, he's way up here, right, with his win on the card. Jack Del Rio. I'm going to give Jack Del Rio some love for that defense of going out there and holding the team to 7 points. Again, you can talk all you want about Chicago, but 7 points is all
Chicago was 0 for 3 in red zone play.
And all three of those red zones were inside the 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, and 2 of them were stopped on downs and 1 was an interception. So you got to give a little love to Jack Del Rio. That's my go-go.
That's fair. Jack Del Rio is a good go-go. Mine is also going to be a little bit of an unexpected go-go, and that's going to be Andrew Norwell.
Whoa. Hold on. Wait. How do you do this? We can't have this. We can't have this Andrew Notwell in here. Okay. Wait, do I got this on the right side? Okay.
Yeah, you got me on the right side here. If you actually go back and look at it. And PFF also rated him as one of the top players for Washington yesterday. But for realistically to bounce back after the horrendous game that he had the week before, that's the reason. So he had a bounce back game.
Like the most improved player.
It was kind of a most improved, but he did have a solid game. He wasn't the reason why the line was awful. When we had that one play where Smith ran right through, that was on Charles and Larson. That wasn't on Norwell. Norwell had his person there. And so, I mean, I agree with a lot of these. We have Go-Go, Tress Way, Gibby, B-Rob, Cam Curl. This one's an interesting from Gus Bus. My Go-Go is Martin Mayhew. I'm attributing any win to him. The fan base needs to rally around his leadership, if anything, to show that a real franchise should be led by a true GM. That's fair. St. Juice from Steven. That's absolutely a good one there. We lose that game if he does not hustle and make that tackle. Now, it could have still been caught by Mooney, but St. Juice was there and got it. We had a go for Defoe. Another one. Derek Forrest is playing super, super well. Love to see it. He is honestly making McCain expendable next year. I'm sure they're going to they're trying to play someone there. Here's another one. Wild Goose was somebody who did not have a great game last week, was one of the, again, top players we had according to PFF from Roger there. I'm surprised he did not pick a running back on that one. Doug Gibson for being ready when called on. Most players, especially, skill players, do tend to be a bit of a diva, and commend this team for having some character to them. Gibson was not used enough in that first half and came ready that second half and showed why he still needs to be a feature for this offense. Loved it.
And I think you're going to see that, by the way, and we'll get to that next week, but I think you're going to see that against Green Bay. You're going to see a lot of Robinson and Gibson in the backfield at the same time. That's for next week.
Yeah, and you're going to see, Curtis Samuel lining up next to there. You might see a little bit more of McLaurin. McLaurin getting a couple of those rushing attempts there, which was, the god dang it. My wife teases me all the time. EP teases me because I sound like a 12-year-old using curse words for the first time. I don't normally use them. I'm a broadcaster by trade, and this is Basics by EP. That was another one that was pretty good from. So I broadcaster by trade, so I don't usually swear, and when I do swear, I sound like a kid. So you'll hear a lot of those "got dang it's" and "dag nabbits" and "frickin' doodle dandy" is another popular one. Yeah, so good old Nathan isms that happen there. All right, let's get to those no-goes. Let us know who your no-goes are in the chat right there. Stoner, I gave you first on the go-go, so I'm going to take the first no-go on here, and I'm going to go with Joey Sly missing that kick. I know it's rough. He's only had so many attempts. He's 4 for 5 on the year.
Yeah, it was his only miss on the year. His first
only miss on the year, but it was a
him.
very impactful miss. I think that was it won. It put them in good position for their last drive. It put us in the precarious position that if they scored a touchdown, they just win the game.
Yeah.
And so you really needed those points, and I just don't like the position it put in the team. I'm not trying to hate on him. He made 2 field goals the time before. I'm being a little harsh. There's plenty of no-goes to go around, but I'm going to take one that's not necessarily obvious because we're going to have a lot of no-goes in there on the chat who are hitting it on the head. How about you? Where are you going to go for your no-go?
There's a lot of Scott Turner hate, and I totally understand it. That's going on in the chat and everywhere, right? And I get it. They're definitely not doing some things they should be, but execution-wise, I thought this was the worst game for Carson Wentz that he's had this year. He didn't do a whole lot right, and so he's going to be my no-go. And I think Beard brought up a good point. Like, we sit there and we watch this film, and we see guys wide open all the time here, and bad reads and bad plays and all this stuff. But the NFL moves so fast in real time, it's easy to kind of just pick it apart like that. But still, they're professionals. They're the best in the world at doing this, so they should be able to execute certain plays. And I thought Carson Wentz did not do that in this game at all. He was missing guys. Sure, there was a couple of drops in there as well, but he was missing wide open guys. He was throwing into coverage when there were other guys open. He just wasn't making good decisions the entire game. So Carson Wentz is my no-go.
Yeah, that's fair. And there was the stat that I had just brought up from this game here. The mention 99 yards passing, and he's paid $28 million. That is by far no-go territory there. I will say I'm going to give a go to Carson Wentz's blocking. That man got out there and put Raquan Smith, who a lot of people wanted here in burgundy and gold, on his backside.
Yeah, he did.
And
he cleated him.
He definitely decleated him. But overall, not a great game. Now, that being said, you mentioned Jack Del Rio, this defense is a go-go. They won a game where their quarterback in the modern NFL threw for 99 yards. So good on them. Say Commander Lorian with that one. We got Bobby McCain as a no-go. You mentioned the wide receiver drops in there. Doug talking about the Samuel drop TD and a big first down catch. I think on that second catch, he was just looking to run, right? He knew the guy was behind him. He was like, I'm going to make this guy miss and I'm going to run for some extra yards, and just forgot the ball.
Yeah.
And it was no go on Scott Turner. Like I said, a lot of hate there for that one. Understandable, just not a very good called game. Fuller and Curtis from Metaphor. Yeah, just not great there. I don't know if he's too old. The man's 30, and as a 37-year-old, I kind of take a little umbrage to that. But in NFL years, 30 is kind of mid-age. And I won't say he's washed up, but he's not it at quarterback. At least he's not showing that right now. But he has good games. He has bad games. He actually had a good game against Tennessee. He had a really stinker here against the Bears. We'll see what he brings to Green Bay. Raquan definitely had a good game. 12 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 9 solo tackles. We'd still want him as a commander, especially because our linebacker core goes Cole Holcomb, Jamin Davis, and then Mayo, John Bostic. You had Khalil Hudson.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love Roquan Smith. Now, I'm not saying you wouldn't want him. I'm just saying that he got depleted. That's actually kind of what I'm saying is he's a good player we want on this team, and he absolutely got demolished by Carson Wentz on that block. You just love to see it from your QB. Now, maybe not one that has a bicep shoulder thing going on, but it was there. Dubs family, no-go going to Dax Milne. Can't return anything. You're right.
Yeah, he was all right. I mean, he wasn't special, but
he got a decent return on one of those punts where he listened to you, Stoner. He listened to you. He stopped dancing. He just went straight
up.
He's
the
just
field.
I'm just going to go straight up the field.
7 yards. That's fine.
I think he ended up getting 13 yards or more on that one. You know who I did like seeing in the return game was Gibson. He looked good back from there, returning those kicks. Yeah, I think you're going to start seeing. I think with Dax Milne, the kickers were good with kicking it just inside the end zone because they're like, we want this guy.
We want him returning
to return this. With Gibson, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more go outside because they're not going to want to give the ball to Gibson in space. He is too dangerous in space. So that's something they're going to go there. Gus Bus coming after the orange helmets with the orange jerseys. Looked like orange traffic cones in motion out there. Yeah, I'm glad we don't have to see those every week. Next week is burgundy, by the way. That's to answer the question all the way from the top. What are we wearing this next week against Green Bay? It will be the burgundy jerseys. So
be so many Packers fans there. There's going to be 25 to 30,000 Packers fans there.
Yeah. So if you're in the area and you can go to the game, make sure you go to the game. I can't remember if that's one of the ones that we can make. I think it is because I don't think we have a soccer game. So again, EP got us season tickets. So I'll be going back to the game and watching that while we do the live stream here on the channel. And now it's time to pay up. I'm going to get my pen and paper ready as well.
No sound effect for pay up?
No, I need to have one for pay up. Let's see if I have one that might be in here for is this good enough?
All right, paying up. I failed our viewers that I didn't go back and look and see who had the right the right score prediction from everybody. I apologize. I'll make sure I get that next week. But between us, Nathan had the closest. I think that's 2 weeks in a row that you've been really close on the score prediction. You had 17-6 Washington, 12-7, very close to that. So nice job there. I had 23-9 Washington, not quite as close. All right, you ready?
Real quick before you go on this one, I'm going to talk about Steven's no-go. Lousy game choices. Definitely, it's not Amazon Prime. It's Amazon Meh. I forget which one of you mentioned it. Maybe it was you, Steven, and yesterday's live. Yeah, the games have not been great. I'm also going to give a no-go to the coverage itself. It was so frustrating watching that game.
Yeah.
One of the things we try to do when we do our live is do play-by-play as well as commentary. You know what's really hard to do is give play-by-play or commentary on something you can't see.
Right. Like that touchdown pass.
They were constantly
Chicago.
behind.
Right? The touchdown pass to Chicago, we didn't even see it live because they were, I don't know what was going on there, but we were like, he's back. I don't know what's going on. What just happened? Oh, I guess he caught it in the end zone. Yeah. It was not great. It was not their finest hour.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for Dollar?
Yeah, let's get this Dollar. I need to go back and get all of them, collect them. I haven't been putting them in a spreadsheet. So
you got to get it all added up.
Yeah, we'll see where we are. I know Trev is down bad, but it's a long season.
Poor Trev. But give Trev credit because he's the one that initiates most of the bets, right? So we got to give him a little bit of credit for that. All right, Trev said that Wentz would have 2 interceptions. That was no good. Stoner and Nathan picked up $1 on that.
Yeah.
Nathan said that Chicago does not score a touchdown.
God dang it.
And they scored 1 touchdown, so Stoner and Trev won 1 there.
So close on that one. I still contest it, but it'll lose.
Stoner and Nathan both said Curl would have an interception, which he did not, so Trev won that one. You were wishy-washy. You didn't know who to go. You went with the Curl interception.
Yeah. I never liked the player bets. I think those are really rough.
It's just, those are very difficult to cash.
Curl didn't have as good of a game as he normally has. And we talked about that prior. Was Cam Curl's been a big part of why this defense has turned around because they hadn't been good. They weren't really good against the rushing. We mentioned it was 200 plus yards, still 135 even if you take out those 2 big runs. But Cam Curl had a couple good plays. I'm not saying he wasn't bad, but he just wasn't his normal disruptive self. And so hopefully that'll change for Green Bay. We'd like to see him be one of our top players like he normally is.
Gonna need him there. Trev said Washington would have 2 or less sacks. And I think they had 4, maybe 5. What'd they have?
Yeah, they were all over. I think it was 5. I'm going to double check here. Again, I have kept the box score up. Washington with 5 sacks, and 4 tackles for loss, and 12 QB hits. They were all over Justin
That's
Fields.
A lot. Yep. Stoner and Nathan both won $1 on that. Trev said that Wild Goose would have an interception. I don't know what that's all about, but both Stoner and Nathan said that's not happening.
Wild Goose had a great game, though. He played very well.
He
acquitted himself from the week before.
I think he's going to get exposed against Green Bay, though. All right. Trev said McLaurin would have 7 targets in the first half. I don't even know if he had 7 for the game because originally that was going to be my bet that he would have 7 targets in the game. Yeah, and nobody wanted it. So Trev was like, well, I'll go 7 targets in the first half. All right, you can have that.
Terry McLaurin, 4 targets all game. Yeah. All game. I think 3 of those targets came in the first half.
But he had at least 1 run. No, 2 runs, right?
He had 2 runs for 11 yards.
It's almost like 6 targets. I mean, officially it's not, but I'm just saying that he had 2 more touches.
No.
In addition to his targets. Stoner and Nathan both won $1 on that.
Doug called the deflected interception. Didn't think a lineman would get it, though. I'm so happy. I mentioned this during the live stream. They had a pass defended a couple weeks ago, maybe it was against Tannehill, where Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat were there. If they could have just located the ball, that was going to be a touchdown. But they couldn't find it. And this time they saw exactly where it was. He boxed him out, and Jonathan Allen able to come down and held onto it. A run does not count as a target.
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to justify the bet. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah,
he
metaphor would argue that a run should, but it is not. You guys know me. Words have meaning, and I will use that. I will definitely lawyer that one up there. 4 targets. What a disgrace from Jared. Absolutely, just pathetic. This guy, you just paid big money to Terry McLaurin. You got to get him the ball. Give him the Cooper Cup treatment. Throw it his way all day long.
Yeah, 15, 16,
until they finally gave Terry McLaurin a slant. Did you see that? That was,
right?
And it was good. It was good. Keep doing that.
Stoner said that Joey Sly would have at least 4 field goal attempts. He only had 3 field goal attempts. So Nathan and Trev both won on that one. Trev and Stoner said that Washington would throw a challenge flag, which they did not. So Nathan won $1 on that one.
Yeah.
Stoner and Nathan both said B-Rob would have at least 14 carries, which he had 17. Is that right? Or 18?
Yeah. He had a total of 17 carries with that 1 touchdown, 60 yards on the day.
So Trev lost $1 on that. Nathan and Stoner both said B-Rob would have a rushing touchdown, which he did.
He did. I hope he kept that ball. That's a special moment for the young man.
And Trev lost $1 on that.
Trev had no faith in B-Rob.
Nope.
Or maybe he knew that they weren't. Well, maybe he just thought they weren't going to leave Gibson on the sideline all first half.
Right. Trev said that Washington would have a successful trick play. And they didn't even have an attempted trick play. So Stoner and Nathan won $1 there.
Question, and then we're going to leave this one up actually before we count that one.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the chat right now, we got more than 30 people in the chat right now. Is the play where they did the fake handoff on the jet sweep and then a kind of an option run back to the screen a trick play? Is that tricky enough? That's kind of flea flicker-esque. I'm not asking you, Stone. I'm asking chat right now. Is that a trick play? Commandalorian with a quick nope. 2 exchanged for a trick play from Doug, so that's a no. Steven says yes. We got 2 no's, 1 yes. If we get 1 more no, we're going to call it. Over. But if we get a yes, we can keep it going. I'm kind of with you, Stoner. I don't think it counts. I like Doug's 2 exchanges, right? Like a fake handoff. Fake handoff doesn't necessarily count for that one. A flea flicker is a trick play because you hand it off. Like they pass it back to you. So we got another no. Yeah, we got another no. Fake punt. Yeah. So that was myself and you with a plus there.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
There was an in-game dollar where Stoner and Nathan said that Washington would get a stop on some whatever drive. I didn't write down all the specifics, but EP was the only one that did not get that one.
So we both got a plus on that?
So we both got a plus there. And then there was one earlier in the week, and I can't remember what it was, but I know I won it earlier in the week. Do you remember what the dollar was?
Yes, it was Turner calling plays from up above. Yeah, the booth.
So you guys both lost on that one.
A miss for me.
And Stoner with the dub on that one.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. So if my math checks out, Stoner, you had 3 misses here. So we'll cross those out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is what I'm getting. A plus 7. Is that what you got?
I have a plus 7.
Oh, man, poor Trev here. He only had 3 hits this time.
Yeah, he did not do well.
He's not doing too well. So, but he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 misses on top of that.
I had 5, but you're probably right.
6. I have -6, yeah.
All right.
And then I had 3 misses. So let's see. We'll cross those out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 7 for us. Almost a full 14-point swing. Trev not having a good season so far, but lots of season left. Love those, and I love when you guys know I'm hysterically bad at making bold bets, so I love when the chat you guys get involved in there and prod those prop bets along here. Real quick, again, these are all for fun and games. No money's exchanged. If you do bet responsibly. All right.
That's right.
Got that message out there for everybody in case they need to. But that will wrap it up for the Bears talk. We will have a show on Tuesday, not a live one. You'll catch that one recorded. It is going to be our Wizards season preview. That's going to come up on Tuesday, and then we'll be live on Wednesday. We'll miss you guys over the weekend, but it is a wonderful thing because we are celebrating a victory. It is a dub here
Yes,
for the
indeed.
Washington Commanders. I'm enjoying the onesie, and I will be enjoying it all night. I don't even think Manscaped can help me out this one. I don't think that this outfit's exactly attracting the lady upstairs, but it works for me and it works for the team, and it is just how we love to fan. Make sure you check out manscaped.com, 20% off, free shipping. Just use the code REF. It's REF, R-E-F. And we appreciate all the support. Thank you for all those coming out in the comments. Commandalorian, Doug, for Jared, Bod, his Fatva is in here now. We got Yam, who won a card. We appreciate the beard coming out. Make sure you check out Authentic the Beard. Roger, we are all team run the damn ball. Love it. Appreciate you coming here, Marvin. Thanks as well, Steven. Everybody who's coming in. When you got what do you got here? We are back live Wednesday with Commander Sock. If you want Wizard stuff, check us out on Tuesday. We'll have a video out on Tuesday, but we'll be back Wednesday here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter live at 7:30. So, any parting words?
That's it. Good show. Good win. Let's enjoy it this weekend.
Absolutely. Enjoy your weekend.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Subscribe to the channel. And until next time,
what?
be a fan.
Dub.